Hey guys, Matt here for Complete Prospecting. So we've been out prospecting for the last couple of days. I've found about 20 nuggets, mainly using the 6000, but using the other detectors as well. So we just want to do a review and a comparison of the three different detectors between the 6000, 2300 and the 7000. So stay tuned and we'll check it out. I've been mainly using the GPX 6000 over the last couple of days, and to be honest, so we went out, so first day went to an area, just trying some new ground, didn't find anything the first day, tried 3 or 4 different areas. Second day we came to this spot here where we've found, like I said, about 15-20 nuggets between us, and I've mainly been using the 6000, okay? So about halfway through yesterday, I was kind of thinking like, what am I doing? Am I really enjoying this detector and that? But as I persevered through, played around with it a bit more, adjusted the settings, figured out how to get it dialed in, it's working really well. So we're pinging a heap of nuggets with this thing, and it is a really good unit. So in terms of like the tech on the unit, it's next level. So there's so many good things about it. I mean, firstly, the weight, right? Like 2 fingers and the balance, like 2 fingers, I can hold that detector all day. So I've been using this the last couple of days. I haven't had to wear a bungee. I haven't had to do anything. I can just hold that. Obviously it's just shortened, but I can hold that and walk around with it all day long and not get a sore arm. So that's impressive just on its own. Just the weight factor is unbelievable. So it's heaps lighter even than the 2300. So this is kind of the small unit, but this is a lot heavier. You know, I wouldn't be swinging that all day without a bungee, okay? You need a bungee for that because it is a lot heavier, and you need a bungee, obviously, for the 7000, or something like the easy arm setup that we've got hooked up on this one. In terms of comfort, it's really easy to use. So I did use it with the 14-inch coil. With the 14-inch, it is a little bit heavier. So if I was using the 14-inch coil, the double D coil, if I was using that all day, I probably would lean towards either a bungee or the easy arm setup, just because it is just that little bit heavier. So at the moment, I have no problem swinging that all day, but with the 14-inch, it is a bit heavier. So that is a massive plus with the 6000, and a great feature that you don't need to have a bungee or anything like that. And that really helps, especially when you get a signal. So you get a signal, and I've been using the wireless headphones. So you get a signal, you can just put that on the ground and you don't need to detach anything. You're not attached to the unit at all. And that is really cool and really awesome. So really happy with that. While I mentioned the headphones, the wireless headphones are really cool. So really, really happy with the wireless headphones. So with the 7000, just to give you an idea, I don't use the wireless setup with the 7000 because I feel like it cuts out a little bit. So for most people, it might not bother them, and I know it's not this detector. We've got a half dozen 7000s and I've used them all, and it's across the board, but they do cut out a little bit, and so I don't use it. I connect straight into the back of the detector with my headphones, because that way I know I'm getting clear, constant audio. But with the 6000, using the wireless headphones, not a problem. So I've been really, really happy with the quality of the wireless or the Bluetooth setup with the headphones. It's been really good. Headphones are really comfortable, no issue wearing those all day. Some other things that I'm really liking about the 6000 that I think I'm really enjoying, but compared to the other detectors, the battery setup is really cool. So the battery lasts a long time. So like you'll get a full day out of that battery, which is surprising because it's not, you know, I suppose it doesn't look that big, but you'll get all day out of that. Even last night, I was doing some detecting last night. The battery signal came down to empty and started beeping. And I ended up turning the detector off for some reason, turning it back on, and I got about another 2 hours out of it. Even once it was all the way down to empty. So really great battery life on this unit, fantastic. Another great thing with the battery setup in terms of charging is that you don't need a base station. So with the 7000, you've got the little base that you put the battery in to charge it, and so you need to obviously bring that. So you've got to get that out, set that up, put the battery in it, connect up the wireless speaker, do that. But with this, you literally just connect your cord straight into the battery. So it doesn't have a base charging station or a charging station. So for me, that's really awesome. And that's obviously the same with the 2300. Well, this is I suppose the newer model that comes with the The battery, I mean, it's the same detector, but it's got a different battery setup. But the battery in this is the same. You can take the battery out and connect your cable straight into it. And so I think that's a really good feature that these two have in common. And it's just one less thing you got to bring, one less thing you got to worry about setting up somewhere. You can literally plug a cable into that and sit it wherever you want and charge it. So really, really like that. The other great thing, obviously, with the 6000 compared to the 2300 and the 7000 is the range of coils. So standard in the box, you get the 11-inch coil and the 14-inch double D coil. There is a 17 by 13, I think it is, or a 17-inch elliptical mono that's not available right now, but it's coming very soon. So we're going to grab that and check that out as well. But obviously with the 2300, there's no coil types standard. Obviously there's options at the moment. You can get a few different coils. And the 7000, you can get the 19-inch, the big deep coil. And there's a couple of aftermarket coils that have just come on the market like in the last 6 months. So it is good, but in terms of the 6000, to have that as like a standard range off the shelf, I think is really cool. And obviously they're suited to the detector. In terms of the gold we've been finding, the 11-inch coil has been really cool. The gold, some of the nuggets are so small, I wouldn't have thought you could pick them up on a detector, but I think in terms, obviously the 2300 for us was a real game changer in terms of like smaller nuggets, going back to fields or areas that you found gold, and you can go back over on the 2300 and ping all the little bits that you might have missed with the 7000, although this is pretty good. But I think the 6000's in a league of its own. I'd put money on it that the 6000 beats the 2300 in terms of how small the nuggets are that you're going to be picking up, and the ease and how clear the signal is. So when you're swinging that, you know, you'll be getting these tiny little nuggets, like, you know, sub-grammers, like, you know, they wouldn't even register on the scales, I don't think. And you ping them with this all day long, and they're real clear signal. Dig them up, it's gold. So I reckon this outshines the 2300 probably in that category. So some other things about the 6000 that I'm really liking is the display. Really easy, clear, simple to use display. The buttons are really simple, you know, Bluetooth, backlight. I was using the backlight a little bit last night in the dark. Volume up the side, you got your noise cancel. You just push this to change your ground type. You can adjust your threshold on and off. It's just really simple and easy to use. The other thing I was a bit surprised at with the 6000, so what happened was a bit of a story. So we bought these, got two of these 6000s. Because it's the latest detector, I think I came out expecting it, because it was the latest, that it would be the greatest. That it's the brand new detector, so it's going to be better than the 7000. It's just going to be the best detector on the market. And after, you know, a couple of days of using it, I think as I've thought more about it, I've kind of realized that where Minelab has put this in terms of their product range is where it fits. So this isn't kind of the successor to the 7000. This isn't the thing that's taking over from the 7000. This is taking over from the 5000. And that's what I'd kind of forgotten. So I got out here, and I have to say, overall, I don't think it's probably as good as a 7000, or I don't quite prefer it. But in terms of an upgrade for the 5000, I think this is phenomenal. I think this is just such a great detector to replace the 5000, and that's the range that it's in. In terms of the price point, that's how they've situated it as well. These are 8000 off the shelf, as opposed to 9.5 for the 7000. And I think what they've done is fixed a lot of the issues that I think a lot of people had using the 5000. Obviously on the 5000, you've got switches and dials and knobs and a bunch of different stuff to try and get your signal right. But with this, they've kind of eliminated the hassle, but still kept the functionality that you can really use it, that you can dial it up and get the sensitivity, you can adjust the threshold, you can do so much with it. So in terms of replacing the 5000, I think this is a fantastic machine. This thing is really awesome from that point of view. So overall, just really happy with it. It's a great unit. I think it does serve its place though. I think if I was going out wandering all day in new areas and that, I'd probably hit the 7000 is going to be my go-to machine. The other thing that I'm finding with the 6000 is you do get a lot of ground noise. Okay, so that's the other big issue, and I think that's where it made me think of the 5000 yesterday. When I was using it, I'd kind of forgotten about that ground noise problem, picking up heaps of hot rocks and things like that with the 6000. And I think the 7000, you don't get as much of that when you're using it, okay? So that is one of the downsides to this, and that is why I kind of thought back and went, well, yeah, it's based on the 5000. That's what it's replacing. So you do get that stuff that you get with the 5000, and I think a lot of that's wiped out in the 7000. You can really dial this into the ground a lot better. But I think overall, it definitely serves its place. I think there's a lot of people that are going to like this. There's a lot of people that are going to like the 6000, and it's going to be their go-to. I think the 2300 still does play its part. It's got some cool features, and it is handy, and it's still going to play its part. But I think, to me, the two that are probably going to be most dominant now is the 6000 and the 7000. I think the 2300, for what you can do with it, I think it's a bit more specific, I suppose. Whereas this is going to serve a lot more of the target audience, and this is going to do what this does and pick up even smaller nuggets. Unbelievable the stuff we're finding with that. So overall, I think Minelab's done the right thing in the way that they've priced it. They haven't brought this out to replace the 7000, they brought it out to replace the 5000, and I think it's done that very well. It's a phenomenal machine, works very well, lightweight, finds the gold. We've been using it, found a heap of gold with it. So one of the other things is, with the 6000, as I was saying, you do get ground noise, and a lot of ground noise. So the 2300, we've actually used this a lot, and we've got some videos. I'll put a card up there where we've actually brought the 2300 in. So we dug a hole, weren't sure if it was ground noise or not, because you do get a lot of noise. Brought the 2300 in, run this over it, and the signal disappears, okay? And that's really one of the strengths of the 2300. I don't feel like you get that ground noise as much as you do with the 6000. So that's really good. The other thing between these two detectors is ease of use. So this is still, the 2300 is still a lot simpler than the 6000, okay? So there is still more settings. You do still have to do more noise cancelling. You still got to dial some things out. Whereas the 2300 is just basically grab and go. Grab it, turn it on, you know, you can still do a noise cancel and zero it into the ground, but it's a lot simpler in terms of things that you dial in. There's not really, you're not adjusting the sensitivity as much. I mean, there is the dial, I suppose, but in terms of beginner, I'd still say this is probably more beginner. This is a little bit more intermediate in terms of settings and dialing it in. And you do have to play around with this to get it right. So it wasn't set and forget like the 7000. Once you've set up the 7000, so if I was using the 7000 in this area here, I could set that up once and basically walk all day without having to do anything in terms of the settings, okay? With the 6000, I am having to do that a lot more, whether it's kind of zeroing it into the ground or doing another noise cancel. I feel like the noise cancel, I was doing that, I don't know, 5 or 6 times a day, just trying to zero out the sound, depending on where I was going, other detectors around, things like that. So there's more you have to do with this than there is with the 2300 and the 7000 in terms of getting it running, getting that signal nice and smooth, okay? But still a huge improvement off the 5000. I think, guys, just one other thing is probably just the size in terms of how it folds up. That's another really cool feature. Like this just folds up so small. I mean, you look at that, that's it next to, that's it, I suppose, as small as it can go with a coil on compared to the 2300. You can fold that back. Look at that, they're almost exactly the same in terms of the lengths of them. So in terms of size, these two are comparable, but they're a lot shorter than this. This is basically as short as you can get the 7000. So you're not gonna get that any shorter. And I mean, you look at, in terms of loading it in your car, loading it in your four-wheel drive, you know, that's gonna be in a lot bigger bag than you can put the 6000 in. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a big difference in terms of space. Obviously you can turn that coil and lie it nice and flat in a bag. And I mean, that's gonna take up next to no room in your car, in your four-wheel drive, camper, trailer, whatever you're taking out. So that's another little thing to consider in terms of room. You start throwing a few GPX or GPZ 7000 bags in your car, they are bulky, they do take up some room. So that is another, I suppose, massive plus with the 6000. these are just our thoughts and comments on the detectors, our experience. Been using, like I said, this only just come out, I've just been using it a few days, so just some initial thoughts. Overall, great machine, they're all great machines, but I think if I had my pick and I was gonna be walking around all day, I'd still be going to the 7000. It's probably my go-to weapon, I think. And yeah, that's really where I think I'd leave it. So I'm probably a bit more diplomatic than Ben. So Ben's got his own thoughts on these detectors. He's been using, again, the 3 of them over the last couple of days. So we'll let him jump in here and he can share some of his thoughts on how he's gone and his thoughts on the detector range.
Hey guys, just wanted to share with you my thoughts on the different detectors. We've been using them over the weekend. So obviously we have the 6000, 2300 and the 7000. Now my weapon of choice, definitely going to be the 7000. I was super excited about the 6000, what it could do, the size of it. You know, like anything, I kind of had bright shiny object syndrome. I was like, yes, new detector, let's go out and check it out. And when I got out here, like literally tried it for like a whole day, and I just got frustrated with it, to be perfectly honest. So I just found like it was just so noisy, like all the time, like over like every single hot rock. You go over anywhere where there's rocks, then soil, it's just ground noise, ground noise, ground noise. And I found that like every like 20 minutes or 15 minutes, you just get into it and you'd be like, you know, sounding out the ground noise. I almost relabeled it like ground noise, like GN 6000. It was literally driving me nuts. So that did annoy me. However, I did find about 5 nuggets with it. So I feel like I was finding nuggets, finding trash, different ground. Like we went to, you know, just heaps of rocks to like quartz to where it had been scraped back, where it's more gravel. We drove like hours to like different country to test it out. So we did give it a good test run. Like I said, I did find gold with it. But at the end of the day, I also had like Matt was using it as well. Now he's more advanced than me, so he probably dialed in the settings a bit better. And he pretty much used it all weekend and like just dealt with it, which I thought was really cool. Also did it with my son who's 12. He started out like, yeah, new detector, super excited. So he was using this, and within like half a day, I said, try the 2300, mate. So try the 2300, and honestly, I think he found like 3 nuggets with this and 1 nugget with that. You know, if you're just getting started, like, or if you've got like a young bloke, or you've got maybe your wife or some kids or something with you, don't give them this detector. It will drive them insane. They won't find anything, and it'll just be really, really noisy. Okay, and they'll have to continually ground noise it out to do that. However, I know I'm bagging it out, but I'd much rather kind of tell you how it is. Compare that to the 7000. On all those grounds, like all the ground that I went to, I would dial it in at the beginning, I'd go for a couple of hours, and that would be it, okay? And I found a whole bunch of nuggets with this bad boy. So this is still my favorite detector. I would give it like, you know, there's a reason why this has a GPX on it, right? And this has a GPZ on it. Like they're not even in the same category. They did change it up from the 5000, and I never really used much of the 5000, but from what I hear, it was rubbish. So, but this is definitely like a great little detector if you just want to get started. You're a bit more intermediate. You're happy to play with the settings. I do really like the wireless headphones though. They were pretty cool. Like the wireless headphones make a big difference, and they're super comfy. Way better than the standard headphones you get with either of these 2 detectors. So I do give it a plus for that. I mean, ease of use, light, compact, being able to move it is great too. But you will need to be more intermediate to use this. So in all fairness, you know, if I was going out on a trip, would I take it? If I had a 7000, probably not. If I was just getting started and I wanted something in the middle, like if I had to buy 1 detector, what would it be? I do like the 2300 because it doesn't have the ground noise. It's great for just finding smaller bits. If I was just getting started, I'd probably look at this one. If I was a bit more intermediate, I would go the 6000. Even though I don't like the ground noise, so I just have to use it and get to use this ground noise. I'm sure if I stuck with it for a couple of days, I'd probably really learn to like this detector. We were pinging really deep nuggets. Like I found like 5 or 6 like really good nuggets with this. There'll be like a link up above, plus a couple that we didn't record. So I did find gold with it, right? But comparison to the 7000, there really isn't any. It's like Godzilla versus Bambi, really is how I would put it. So if you wanted to get really serious about it, you want to go find deep nuggets, small nuggets. I mean, I was finding small nuggets with this too. The 7000 still reigns supreme in my world. So 2 different viewpoints there. I know mine and Matt's are probably a little bit different. But yeah, if you're gonna do it and you want to get serious about your detecting, the 7000, hands down, is the one that you want to pick. All right guys, that's my thoughts on any of these. If you've got any comments or questions, maybe you think I'm totally wrong, or you got any questions about how we found it or why, or what depths the nuggets were and what the signals were, you can watch some of our previous videos. We have a whole playlist just with nuggets found with the 6000, how we found them, what size they were, what depths. Make sure you check those out. But we did really want to do a comparison video between the 6000, the 2300 and the 7000, because if you're looking at buying one, what do you buy? We also rent these out, so if you'd like to rent a 6000, try it out for yourself, or a 2300 or a 7000, make sure you click on the link below in the description. You can hire one off, try it out for the weekend, see how you go with the 6000. Maybe you have a completely different experience. But there you go, there's our thoughts on the 3 detectors, or my thoughts anyway.
Overall, guys, Minelab make a great range of detectors. All these detectors are great and serve their purpose. If you've got any comments, if you've got any thoughts on it, whack it down in the comments below. Other thoughts, other features that we might not have mentioned, whack them down in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're always bringing out more videos, whether it's prospecting, nuggets, anything to do with mining, all that kind of stuff. Hit subscribe and we'll keep you updated on the videos. All right, thanks guys, and we'll see you on the next one.